Factsverse presents. When authorities drained a 200-year-old canal, what they found at the bottom was extraordinary. What we find extraordinary is so many people clicking that like button. Every time that happens, you're letting people know that you are a fan of Factsverse, so thank you for doing that. And also, if you're new here, be sure to click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss our future videos. When you think of Paris, you think of the City of Lights. You think of the city of love and romance. You think of all the history and sights in Paris. What you don't think about is garbage, trash, and discarded items piled up in the city. When authorities drained this 200-year-old canal, what they found at the bottom was extraordinary. The canal is called the Canal Saint-Martin. It's located in the high-class 10th arrondissement. The canal is over 200 years old, and because of its age and its location right in the middle of a highly populated area, Paris officials they have the canal drained from time to time so that the things that had been tossed in can be cleaned out. In 2016, the canal was cleaned out again, and this was the first time that it had been cleaned since 2001. When it was cleaned then, the crew pulled out over 40 tons of waste and mud. They were also shocked to find gold coins, a shell from World War I, even a car. This time, the officials expected to find just as much waste, so they came prepared. The canal was originally built in 1802 on the orders of Napoleon Bonaparte for drinking water. It took 23 years and finally the canal was opened. The things that were pulled out of the canal this time were not quite as glamorous as the ones in 2001. This time the officials pulled out dumpsters, bicycles, mopeds, even toilets. The project was not a simple one either. First, the canal had to be drained in order to get to the waste to begin with. The officials they didn't want to hurt the aquatic life in the canal, so they pulled out over 4.5 tons of fish, including bream, carp, and trout. They wanted to safely remove the fish before draining the canal. That portion of the project just by itself took several days. The canal, it's located in an upscale part of Paris, and the people who live there, they pay up to 7,300 pounds per square meter for properties that overlook the Canal Saint-Martin. When these people purchased their expensive properties, they had no idea what was lurking underneath that water. When their water was drained away, they found thousands and thousands of empty bottles that people threw into the canal rather than looking for a trash bin. The officials also found hundreds of shopping carts. According to the Paris mayor's office, they expected the canal to be closed from January through April because it was such a big job. They estimated that the cleanup would cost about £7 million. As the project forged on, the cleanup crew found numerous bicycles, more mopeds, and trash that had been under the murky water for so long that it was unrecognizable. According to reports, they even found a degraded gun in the canal. Since it was underwater for so many years, there was no way of knowing if the gun had ever been used in a crime. The deputy mayor in charge of the environment of Paris is Celia Blauel. She hopes that this major cleanup won't be necessary for another 20 years at least. She says if the citizens of Paris and the tourists will just stop littering and start taking pride in Paris and its 100-year-old canal, the city wouldn't have to spend £7 million in another 20 years. Instead, they can work on making it a place for the people of Paris, as well as the tourists, to swim and enjoy themselves. If people can keep the canal clean, people in numerous European cities will also be able to enjoy swimming in the canal. Deputy Mayor Blauel says that if people would just stop looking at the canal as a dumping ground and start looking at it as the major piece of Paris history that it actually is, the city could use the money normally used for cleanup and use it somewhere else that could have a great impact on the citizens. She says the only way to avoid a major cleanup 2 decades from now is for people to be more responsible. If people dispose of their trash and old items properly, the city and surrounding cities can benefit greatly. It's hard to believe people were actually swimming in that canal with all that stuff underneath, and they didn't even know it. Subscribe for more.